If black magic music was a genre, producer Jett and vocalist Taylor Simone, together known as Jazze Belle, would be leading young artists on that list. Flexing a myriad of musical influences, Jazze Belle elegantly eclipses narrow perceptions of neo-soul, with moods and messages that are just as much a cryptic nod to trap as they are overt odes to liberation. And to top it off, they have that touch of a jazzy boom bap that is an in-house fave on this very stage. I am your host, Queen God Is, and Brooklyn, it is about that time to tune into the vibe of another mystical ride on B-Side. Keep it close.
Recollecting my future with wide eyes, gasping for straws with one hand, stars with another. I pray, with my feet entangled in wires, desperate to shake the sleep off my insides, to feel awake with my eyes closed, to invent in twilight when reality ain't enough, to know vision is on the other side of a blink. It's to go to bed, standing up. Drifting through the day, all the while wondering if you're away. Living through the night, eyes wide open, you can't see the light. There's a type of cloud amidst you, your dreams, they miss you, and the stars may never felt so far from where you are, yeah, oh, it's time to let the darkness go. Don't wait for dawn. Gone fragile, was it a both of men? And no wonder was it that light waves so frightening? Was it a two-wheel in a mirror?
show is called B-Side. The artists are known as Jazze Belle. The borough is Brooklyn, and this has got to be one of the most unhinged audiences that I have ever witnessed in this studio ever. So I just want to shout that out right now. Give yourselves a round of applause. People at home don't know what I'm talking about, but they will find out. Let us begin. So I would love to do this. First of all, let us introduce this really awesome band because you started right out the gate awesome. Let's introduce the band, and then I would love for you two to introduce each other.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, for sure. These are the band are like the homies. We have Paul Bloom on keys.
Hi, Paul.
We have Henny Montes on bass.
Hey, Henny.
We have Syl de Bignon on sax.
Hey, Syl.
And of course, not only the other half of Jazze Belle produces everything, but he's also our drummer. So Jett Carter, right here.
And the lovely songwriter herself, the luscious
Taylor
Simone.
I'm Taylor Simone, yeah.
Taylor Simone. So we have Paul, Henny, Syl, Jett, and Taylor. Jett and Taylor. I would love for you to actually extend that introduction of each other. Tell us something about the other that no one would know from a bio or from not being a part of the band. Like, really give us a deep intro to this person who's taken this journey with you to create this beautiful music and put it out into the world. So let's start with Taylor, let's end with Jett, because Jett looks like he needs a few more minutes too.
Oh man.
Yeah, so Jett is the producer, but he's the other half of Jazze Belle, and we really have been on this journey for years now. Things that you don't know about Justin. Justin is a very disciplined person. Every morning is, here's my routine, this is how I'm gonna practice, this is what I'm gonna do. And it's that kind of like ethic that's always been inspiring to me, and I think a reason why we've kept going, because I'm like, wow, it's really awesome how, not even in a rigid way, but just a promise to continue with the goals. Another thing is Justin is full of ideas, amazing ideas. We have talked about operas, with Jazze Belle did an opera.
Wow.
We have talked about, you know, just like, what if this was that? It's always about fusing the arts, fusing two disparate concepts together, which is always inspiring.
You two kind of like two disparate concepts coming together, or is there?
Oh
more?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, well, tell us about the other side of that.
Taylor's
And he put on the high position. No, she a little, you know. No, we need you to do, I'm not asking you to write vows. This is not hip hop. We need you to give the same. Tell us something about her that we would just otherwise not know.
I mean, she's forceful. She know how to create. She's doing this thing right now where she's like writing a song every day, and she's great with collabing with people. Like she's a great songwriter. She works well with everybody. You know, she's Taylor, like, you know.
She's Taylor. You see how guys do? I just don't, no offense. Okay, she's Taylor. But one thing she did that was hilarious. She gave us a different name that is not on this paper. So I'm gonna just call you Jett, you know, but I won't call you the other name. But I will say that Jett is from Richmond, Virginia.
I am.
And Taylor is from LA. But this is Brooklyn. And I would love to know, before we continue into some more songs, what does Brooklyn mean to you? What is your relationship to Brooklyn? How does Brooklyn feed this collaboration?
Well, we're in Brooklyn. We perform so often in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's like a home to us. Like, we attend shows and get inspiration in Brooklyn. We perform here all the time, and we were able to really sharpen up our performance chops in Brooklyn. Especially for the kind of music that we're trying to do and we're aiming towards. Brooklyn has always been an audience that has been receptive to that, like to the margins of music. I feel like we're always trying to include different like electronic aspects or a little bit of jazz in there, a little bit of that, and I found whenever we're here that those kind of meetings of worlds are already occurring in Brooklyn.
That's very true.
Yeah, there's a lot of great artists in Brooklyn. It's good to collab with somebody You know, it's amazing. Brooklyn is cool. It's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And Brooklyn can be difficult. Brooklyn
yeah.
has a lot of artists, and it can be very demanding and hard on
Yeah.
artists. I mean, you could be amazing in Brooklyn and be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's just kind of, you know, how we
Yeah.
do, but it sharpens our chops. The first song was called Sleepwalker. The next song is called Possibly. I actually want to take a leap and go into the next song just so we could get a little bit more of the vibe, and so we can go a little bit deeper into these questions and ideas so the audience have something to work with. Yeah?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, this is Jazze Belle. Give it up one more time.
Searching with thirst for my last swallowed words, an attempt to rewrite the intentions I've made. You see, the plans in my mind dissolve so quickly in life. Over again, try too hard to hold it in my hand. They say if you love, you should let it go. If it's fate, it'll come back to you. I'm a vacant mind in the meantime. Possibly the vision is really real. I could see it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a bloom of smoke? Possibly the vision is really real. I could see it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear? For my ideas to be fluent in what they mean, move my tongue like a wand and create things. Make my word like a bond that never breaks. Vision like a gong reverberates like an echo of my beating heart. I want it done if I could only start. Possibly the vision is really real. I could feel it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear in a boom of smoke? Possibly the vision is really real. I could see it growing inside of me. I want to know, will it disappear?
We are starting
Nice.
to slowly hear the audience turn up. It's happening.
Nice.
I warned
Good
you.
job.
I warned you. It's happening. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Jett, I am going to direct this next question to you, and they're going to adjust your mic because they want to make sure that it's, you know, not picking up any extra noise. This song was called Possibly. You all have a new project out, and Possibly is a video that you just recently released. Tell us a little bit about that project and about that video specifically. What do you want the viewer to take away from the song and from the images?
Yeah, so the project is called Go to Bed Standing Up. It's about having dreams. We all have dreams. A lot of times because of life, we forget our dreams, or like something else comes and we gotta think about that. This is about possibly you can do what you wanna do. You can have your dreams. you can, continue what you want to do.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. I want to zoom into the moment where you met, where you were coming out of whatever you were doing at that time, and you were in a place and you were in a place, and somehow your individual dreams converged to create this collective dream. What has the journey been like? Has it been smooth since you met up? Has it been challenging? Were you discouraged by family members? Like, tell us, give us a glimpse of that.
So yeah, to go back on a little bit of what Jett was saying, like possibly is like, the whole project was kind of like, what is the process of becoming your dream? Like, what happens? What needs to happen? And there are some artists that we love and that we're fans of. Kendrick Lamar is one of them. And, I personally have been following Kendrick Lamar since like Overly Dedicated. And so
Which is Overly Dedicated is?
one of his like mixtapes full of mixtapes.
Good. So
prior.
for the people at home,
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar, which is
Overly
a household
Dedicated,
name
check it
at this
out.
point, but
Yeah, it's a
his
hot-
first project is Overly Dedicated. That shows she's a true fan. Okay, continue.
Yeah, and like just seeing his progression was like, wow, I'm sure he dreamt about this.
Yeah.
And he became it. Like, how do you do that? Like, what do you do? So possibly was one of the first songs that we wrote from that on like, how? And like,
Well, answer that question.
right, and to bring it back to what
Yes.
you were saying about how we met, I think with us, it kind of just started as a, hey, let's become a group. And we really didn't think about it as like hard as I've like mulled over other
So you
decisions.
met on a college campus somewhere?
Oh, right. We
Okay.
gotta, like, rewind
yeah, let's
it.
go all the way back so we can set the scene in our mind.
We met in Brooklyn.
Zip, zip,
Yeah.
zip.
We met
So
in Brooklyn at
You met in Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to give Brooklyn a credit.
Right,
for this.
yeah.
I found it. I was looking for the golden key. I found it. Thank you very much.
We met at Brooklyn. I had a show somewhere at some bar, and somebody invited her, and we were just talking. She's a singer, so me as a musician trying to do bigger things in New York, I'm like, let me network, talk to everybody, let me see who she is. Like, heard some of this stuff.
Well, he said the word network. At the producer's request, I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna have a Wendy Williams moment, which never happens. I promise you, it never happens. It'll be very brief. When you said network, is that like a code word or euphemism, if you will, for I'm just curious about this conversation? And the reason why I'm curious is not because I want to be all up in your business, even though other people do want to know. I want to know, how do these duos are very interesting in the music world, and they don't always survive. We've seen it. We could name drop. We won't. And I think a lot of artists who are trying to find their way there's no formula really, but there are tips that we can give. If we can go back to that first moment and because not everybody who you meet is supposed to be bae, right? Not everybody who you meet is supposed to be business partner. We have to figure these things out. When you first met, networking, in Brooklyn, shout out to Brooklyn, what was the first thought that went through your mind? And then how did you get to the point of saying, oh, this should be a music collaboration?
Word. Well, I had just recently graduated, and I was in a frame of mind of getting out as much as I possibly could. And I heard about a group that Justin was playing for once. I was like, I finally will go see them. And I met him. I was like, whoa, he's killing on the drums.
What was the name of the group?
It was called Sibling.
Sibling, okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, it's killing on the drums, and we exchanged, and like, I'm out here just trying to work and work and work. And I think a couple of months later, we actually did some of my music as a solo artist together. And then we wrote this song that we're actually going to play in a minute called SCW.
Okay.
And I think that's when I was like, that came really easy. That happened really easy. And
so I think we're skipping a couple steps. So for my Wendy Williams, I was trying not to go there. For my Wendy Williams moment, I ain't gonna say how you doing. I'm gonna say what up though. Networking. Jett, was you trying to holler? I was like, I just want to know, because that's not an easy transition. You're like, shut down, maybe, and then let's make some songs, or let's do both. Is it possible to do both? We want to know, and then I promise you we'll move on. Please continue.
It is possible to do both.
You're giving me the blackest man answers of all time. Okay.
I mean, it was like 3 years ago, you know?
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
remember,
All right.
you know?
Audience. Moving right along, in one of your promo photos, you are wearing an Outkast t-shirt, and you are wearing a t-shirt of, we went over this
Junior
before.
Mafia.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I need
Junior
you.
Mafia.
I need you to be here with me. He's wearing a T-shirt of Junior Mafia, and this is a promo photo that actually has circulated quite a bit for your group. Grunge Cake did an article about you all. I want to know, specifically as far as Outkast goes, let's jump into influences. Outkast has a song called Jazze Belle.
Yeah.
So did that happen first? Was that the direct influence, or was it just a coincidence?
Yeah, well, first, I'm a big Outkast fan. And I was like sampling that song, and I was like, chop it up. I was like, oh, this is dope. And she was like, oh, she heard it. And I was like, what if, you know, because we was throwing names out. We had some pretty bad names. And Jazze Belle, I was like, yo, Jazze Belle sounded dope. It sounded great. Yeah.
I mean, because you went from a band called Sibling, and you know, you trying to holler, Sibling is not really going to work for that. It was like, that ain't it. So, I mean, so just for those of you who are not familiar with Outkast, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But for those of you who are, go revisit that song and let's see how that song kind of got us to this place. I want to ask another quick question. When we did the opening segment, I described you all as if black magic music was a genre. After listening and then also kind of doing a tour through your Instagram and then your website, the color black is literally very prominent. We are in an era where there's so many references, specifically in terms of people producing projects, putting them out into the world. We have Very Black Project. I don't know if you follow them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we have artists like Issa Rae out right now, Solange, and all these artists. Issa Rae literally was going into an award ceremony and they said, who is she rooting for? And she's like, I'm rooting for everybody black. And so I was looking at the aesthetics that you put out with your music. And I want to know your take on blackness and how, what is your take on blackness, and then more specifically, what is black magic or black girl magic to you?
These are great questions. Blackness is so important to me, and I'm kind of at a loss for words with like what exactly it is. But I do know that every year I get older, I am prouder to be black than the last. And I think at least with writing the music and the aesthetics, like I feel like anything that I write or sing or perform or put out is black, just like in
By
and of
default,
yes. In and of default. And especially in like leaving school and getting older, like being all sides of myself is super, super important, and being unapologetically black is like the #1 thing in that.
All right, audience. All right. All right.
I'm here for you.
I think we've had that conversation. We're like, yeah, what do we want people to see or hear from our music? And that was one of the words, I feel like.
What is black magic? Not the way that it has been defined in the past, but I think in a new meaning that is emerging with all the artists who are giving odes and, you know, acknowledgement to the vastness of blackness.
Well, the first word to me was resilience. That's what I think black magic is we have 2 things and we made 9 things. Or there's nothing around, there's no help, and this is what we created. Time and time again, decade after decade, you know, from everything to vocabulary to style to everything. We don't have to belabor, you know?
Right.
But that is the magic in it. And I think especially in the era of 45 right now, resilience and hope in the midst of darkness is like what our whole thing is about. Like our thing is black, but we're talking about how we find our dreams in the midst of it, because it sucks. Like I don't think either of us wanted to be like, oh, like just reach your dreams. It's like easy, because it's not. It's really difficult. And there's a lot of stuff, especially structural, that people have to go through, but we still believe in the dream, you know?
We still believe in the dream. We have heard Sleepwalker, possibly. This is Jazze Belle. We've talked about blackness, which is kind of hard to define because it is so many things. The next song is also hard to define because I don't know what it means. So let's go into it and see if we can decipher. Audience, are y'all with me? This next song is called SCW, Jazze Belle. Give it up.
Snap. You know, this is life. 'Cause see, I overthink everything. It's like you and me became a thesis I have yet to write. Just an outline. We write the pivots of something we don't know. The lights are dim, my feelings are all in the open. Can't decide on what to do in the moment. Got me wrapped up in a shoulda, coulda, woulda sweater. I wanna love you, but I'm feeling like a hug is better. And when the time was right, I never had it all together. I don't know, it's got me feeling like it's now or never. Got me wrapped up in a shoulda, coulda, woulda sweater. I wanna love you, but I'm feeling like a hug is better. And when the time was right, the time was never right. You motion me over, please don't come closer. I won't know how to act to your advances. Take a chance. A voice inside of me says, hard to hear with all the worry building in my head. But say I chose to live in the moment for once. Could you handle it? 'Cause you got me wrapped up in a shoulda, coulda, woulda sweater. And when the time was right, and when the time was right, and when the time was right, got me wrapped up in a shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda sweater. And when the time was right, the time was never right. Come on, Henny. All right, Paul. Got me wrapped up in a shoulda,
Thank y'all.
So, for audience, I want to test to see if y'all paying attention. That song was called Wrong. SCW, thank you. And it stands for shoulda, coulda, woulda. A shoulda, coulda, woulda sweater. There literally is such a thing. If you go to their merchandise page, there's a sweater that it has shoulda, coulda, woulda on it.
For sale, you know?
Yeah, we're
And-
on sale. Yeah, check it out.
Love is Jett, ... fill in the blank.
Love is, love is stressful.
Stressful. You just crushed a lot of hopes and dreams. Love is stressful. Love is stressful. Why, Taylor?
I guess maybe love is stressful when
Okay.
we try and like change the other person, or we try and like, you know, push
Yes.
people in different directions. But love is a choice, I think. Like a daily.
We got some snapping for going. They're doing the most. So like, first we get like a lot of hooting and hollering, and then we just turn into kind of
We're
like
a coffee shop. We're a coffee
New
shop.
Eureka Poets Cafe. And okay, I want y'all to pick one. Pick one. Love is stressful when ... and then but you're saying that love is also a choice, but so is collaborations coming together. How do you keep choosing love? How do you keep choosing this collaboration, especially when it gets difficult?
Well, when I think of the collaboration, I don't even only think between me and Justin. I think between me, Justin, Syl, Paul,
Absolutely.
and Henny here. They have played with us since the beginning,
Okay.
honestly. And a lot of the times when we're thinking of our music, we're also thinking about if they would like to play it as well. And I think a lot of choosing the collaboration is based on the gratitude that I feel from what I get back. You know, it's impossible not to want to choose this all the time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as you heard in their solos, right? They're unbelievable, right?
Yeah, there was something I wanted to do as a result of that, but I want you to finish that thought.
Oh,
but I
yeah,
do
no,
want
I'm
to
pretty
speak to
much
that.
finished, yeah.
Okay, so can you come here for a second? I just want to give you a hug because I feel like you should be able to give every awesome musician a hug when they kill it. I'm extending that hug to all of you, but y'all a little far away. Process. How much of the process is connected to how you identify or categorize your music? So, for example, electro-soul is a term that pops up, jazzy, boom bap, you know, these things pop up. But then for people who are kind of just passing by in a concert hall and hearing you play, they may throw the term neo-soul, like we said earlier, out at you. Do you have this idea in your mind of who you are musically, and does that constrict or elevate or assist what you go into the studio and create? What is your process?
You want to start?
I mean, I think as far as like labeling us as like a genre, I'm pretty much open. Cause like I don't have a lane. I mean, I guess you can say we're soul,
Yeah.
whatever. But like there's times where I'm like, let's do some rock.
Okay. When you're going for that Grammy, what category you want them to put you in though?
I want classical. I don't know.
Classical music.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean-
I guess it would be under like soul R&B vibe.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty aware that
Yeah.
anybody that doesn't, you know, roll with us or know, especially because, you know, every year we're growing into our sound and I forgot who said it, but basically they're saying like the whole idea is like getting your taste level to your skill level and like closing the gap between the two, and like I think that's what we're always trying to do. So yeah, I'm very aware that like we're just like another different iteration of soul, and I don't have a problem with that because, you know, my influences personally are Jill Scott, you know, Erykah Badu.
So when you do create something that is not necessarily considered soul by the masses, you still feel, you don't feel restricted to go ahead and to do it. Your audiences don't look at you cross-eyed. Who is your audience?
Y'all.
Besides the 25 people, besides the 25 people in this room.
Depends on where you at.
Last week we had a Yoruba, and he said that his audience were the emo tweeters, like people who you can find putting out emotional tweets into the Tweetiverse, right? Twitterverse. Who are your?
They're definitely watching Insecure.
They're definitely, well, okay, this is good to know.
Yeah.
And that's actually great. So you would say your core audience is definitely watching this HBO extravaganza called Insecure, created by Issa Rae. And they actually take music very seriously on that show.
Yes,
Solange was like the first curator of music on the first season. And then they get a lot of music from artists that the average person wouldn't know, and they really embed that into the storyline.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself, your work? What would make you so happy if someone gave you a call and said, we want to place your song here? What would that placement be?
Speaking of which, if we got on Insecure, we'd be
Oh, okay. We can stop there. Okay, cool.
If we got on Insecure,
yes.
that would be really dope. Or, I mean, a lot of HBO shows honestly have great music and great music supervision.
To the new Marvel movie.
The new Marvel movie. Anything Marvel.
Anything, that Black Panther movie. Yeah, I'll be happy to.
All right, we calling
get,
it out to the universe. We did say y'all do some
hey.
Black magic music, so let's put these good vibes and make it happen. Speaking of the music, we had Shoulda Coulda Woulda is a project that you put out. It was a single that you put out, and then you also have Go to Bed Standing Up, which we heard a couple of songs from that. I want you to walk us through your SoundCloud. Anybody who is familiar with SoundCloud, you know that it really is an experience. You go in listening to whoever you're looking for, and then some other stuff pops up, and then you're like, oh wow, and it really is this amazing chain reaction of discovering. So for those who don't know, try it out. It really is quite remarkable. Every once in a while, it's like, yikes, you know. Walk us through your SoundCloud. If we were to press play on the first song and go all the way through very quickly, what would be fine?
Okay, well, you probably find SCW. That was our first song, and that's a song, you know, we've been playing the longest that we love. After that, we released a song called Jagged Edge that we'll be playing later.
Is that a nod to the classic R&B group Jagged Edge?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
I tried.
Well, when you hear it, it kind of feels like a jagged edge. We're, you know, dealing with like a semi-odd meter, you know. And then after that, we dropped our EP. So that possibly Every Day's Tomorrow, Sleepwalker, and a song called No Endings. Which is really, if you're trying to be in a contemplative, like meditative mood about your life, check out Go to Bed Standing Up. You know, that's the vibes.
So I would say that perhaps the whole SoundCloud is like a contemplative, meditative, get your life kind of thing. And then you'll find some other artists that are also really beautiful, and many of them have actually been on this very stage performing right before you got here. So I think that's very cool. Let's go into the next song. Let's give us some more contemplative, meditative, get your life vibes. This next song is called Every Day's Tomorrow. Give it up for Jazze Belle.
Racing faster than my legs can't get out, and I can't get no rest. My dreams are made of never-ending alarms, so I sleep with one eye open, feeling like forever, but I'm falling short, and I can't ignore prospect and I can't get no rest. My dreams are made of never-ending alarms, so I sleep with one eye open. Feeling like forever, but I'm falling short. And I can't ignore every day's tomorrow. Every day's tomorrow. An eerie assurance of not knowing where you're headed, but clear you're in the opposite direction. Tossed between the reality we refuse to leave and the future waiting. But what would happen if I chose to touch it, felt it on my skin and chose to really love it? What would my future hold? What color streak the sky of my every day's tomorrow? Crickets in the air, can you hear them? Calling me into the dark, speaking to an intuition. This dream, feeling more than serendipitous. The divine is living here. 100,000 crickets. 100,000 crickets, 100,000 spirits, 100,000 crickets. Crickets, I'm in awe of what I'm living. I'll never wonder if you're listening. A Again, you know my heart deeper than any other can. And this dream, richer than I can imagine. What a life I'm living in. 100,000 crickets, 100,000 crickets, 100,000 spirits, 100,000 crickets. It'll only leave me if I let it. Never ending, it is everlasting. A cloud burst hanging over me. I stop to look around. It'll only leave me if I let it. Never ending, it is everlasting. A cloud burst hanging over me. I stop to look around. Saw things clearly.
I just want to be like, Sil is trying to get me to give him another hug. All right, so we just heard back-to-back Every Day's Tomorrow and Crickets. Recently in the news, there was a lot of people on the planet who did not get to see their tomorrow. And in a nation where there have been executive orders of the most peculiar kind, in the face of actual catastrophe that could be thwarted with political change, it was crickets. Let's talk about this moment, because I know that 2 weeks ago you were in Mandalay Bay. And so to now, by a margin of 2 weeks, and many people have never been there, but by a margin of 2 weeks, I'm not sure what was the nature of your trip, but to miss that whole experience firsthand, first of all, we're grateful. Let's talk about, not only as artists, but as humanitarians, as human beings, what was going through your mind when you heard the news of what happened and the fact that you were just there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I was there celebrating my 25th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. And happy belated birthday to you too.
I will celebrate myself.
Yeah, and it was a situation where I was going to Vegas to see my family. I'm originally from LA, and that was like the closest meeting place, and it was like the first time in years that all my family came together. And when I heard the news, I was like, that could, like, you know, what if we canceled our flight? It was like, oh, the next time we can reschedule is 2 weeks later. Like, you know, like, it was just such a random, senseless situation, and it had me feeling grateful for my life, but also just so sad at just like,
I know it's a difficult question, so I don't mean to put you on the spot. I will reference this by saying I am privy to an organization that I've worked with. It's called Art Saves Lives. It's the idea that, and they are based out of St. Martin, which recently faced a catastrophe of a different kind with a natural disaster. The idea that art can save lives. Is this true for you? And in what way does your music help save a life?
So, 2 parts to the question. Every Day's Tomorrow is about anxiety. It's about wanting to dream but not being able to because you're so worried about now and so worried about the present that you can't even sleep to dream. And I think we recently sang this at like a benefit that we were throwing for one of the myriad catastrophes happening right now. And it was a place that I was currently feeling when I wrote it, but I feel like everybody's feeling that right now. How can we really dream? How can we dare to live our future, our Black future, when literally every day there's an executive order, there's a catastrophe caused by climate change and, you know, U.S. imperialism or whatever. You know, it's really hard to dream. I feel like the only way maybe that the music can help save a life is being honest about how difficult it really is, you know, not being like sugar-coated about, oh yeah, it's just this and this, like, it's very difficult, but by admitting and like understanding the depth of the problem, we can imagine the future beyond it. And
what's possible. I saw a quick quote of yours that said, from music to merchandise, we put a lot into what we do. Tell us really quickly where you're gonna be next so that the whole audience can just show up and be sitting in the front row with what, you know, whatever we can do to support.
Oh, awesome. Well, our next show, we're actually going to be at Arlene's Grocery for another friend of ours' album release party on October 20th, and that's going to kick off a little mini tour that we're doing.
The last tour is called No Ending Tour. And clearly this is still the No Ending Tour.
No Ending
That's what it is.
Yeah, we were joking like, what if we just called it the No Endings Tour forever? And like every time we perform, we're like, this is a No Ending Tour, it's no ending.
Well, there's so much more to say, but I feel like we've covered a good amount of territory, and we have to go see them on October 20th. I'm not sure if I can, but somebody here. Yeah, can I get a, yeah, hey, okay. Hey. Thank you. I mean, it's just really amazing.
Thank you.
A lot of jewels, and thank you. All right, let's give it up for them one more time.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
That brings us to our close for now. In a message still very fitting of the times, a king once said, "Only in darkness can you see the stars." We extend gratitude and well wishes to our guests, Jazze Belle, as they find their way through the creative cosmos, exploring the dark matter of music and emotion, illuminating what's possible when we are all courageous enough to close our eyes and take a really good look at ourselves. If you can dig it and want to dive deeper for more, B-side that is, check out our YouTube channel by using the hashtag BSideBK and listen to our podcasts on soundcloud.com/BSidePodcast. I am your host, Queen God is, sending up lots of light, might, and high vibes to Las Vegas and all precious life everywhere. We love you, Brooklyn. Till next time.
since I've met you. I'm uneven at best, like a shot overthrown. I have fallen out of bounds in this limp called love we dance around. A little too much or not enough is all that I want. An odd imbalance, a redundant thing to say. If I'm without you, I start leaning both ways. Oh, babe, there's no rhythm for what we've become. No rhythm for what we've become. Asymmetry of an honest thing, an honest thing, an honest thing. A little too much, oh, not enough is all that I want. And when there's nothing left to say, words forgotten, just know that you have been enough when I have fallen. And when there's nothing left to say, words forgotten, just know that you have been enough when I just know that you've been enough when there's nothing left to say, words forgotten, just know that you, just know that you, yeah. You are a jagged edge I like to lay my head on. You are a jagged edge I like to lay my head on. You are a jagged edge I like to lay my head on. You are a jagged edge I like to lay my head on. Ba-ba-ba-da-ba-dee-ah, ba-ya.